Hello and welcome to Cloud Experts. In this video, you will learn Elastic Cloud Compute, also known as AWS EC2. So let's dive right into it. Elastic Cloud Compute is a web service that provides secure, resizable compute capacity in the cloud. It provides a virtual computing environment known as instances. This diagram shows you how EC2 virtualization works. We have a physical server or bare metal server running a host Linux operating system, and you have the hypervisor running on the host machine. The hypervisor creates and runs virtual machines. Each virtual machine is called a guest machine, and they all share the resources on the host machine. The guest machine here are EC2 instances. As you can see, they are of different sizes. It mainly depicts the different instance types you have available to select from, based on your application's requirements. Now let's discuss some of the features of the EC2 service. Amazon EC2 enables you to increase or decrease capacity within minutes. You can commission one, hundreds, or even thousands of server instances simultaneously. You have complete control of your instance, including root access and ability to interact with them as you would with any machine. You have the choice of multiple instance types, operating system, and software packages. As discussed previously, you can select different instance types based on your application's requirements. There are instances with more CPU known as compute optimized, or more memory also known as memory optimized, or GPU instances for big data processing and machine learning applications. EC2 comes with many different purchasing options, and you can save up to 70% on the on-demand prices. It basically means that you have different ways to pay for the instances. For example, on-demand is pay as you go. Reserved instances, where you pay for the instances upfront or partially upfront, or spot instances, where you bid on the unused EC2 capacity. EC2 is also integrated with most AWS services such as Amazon Simple Storage Service or Amazon Relational Database Service known as RDS. EC2 usage is built on 1-second increments with a minimum of 60 seconds for Linux instances. This does not include the instances that uses licensed OS like Red Hat Linux or any marketplace AMI charges. The provisioned storage for EBS volumes will also be built per second increments, with 60 seconds as the minimum. You can automatically scale the number of your instances up or down based on the traffic or load on your application using the auto-scaling feature of EC2. You can also restrict the access by allowing only trusted hosts or networks to only access certain ports on your instance using security groups. You can launch different types of instances from a single AMI. An instance type essentially determines the hardware of the host computer used for your instance. Each instance type offers different compute and memory capabilities. Amazon EC2 provides a wide selection of instance types optimized to fit different use cases. Some of the higher level instance types are general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, storage optimized, and GPU instances. So what's an AMI? AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. It is a template that contains pre-installed software and software configuration. Using an AMI, you can launch an instance of any instance type, and that instance would be a copy of AMI running as a virtual server in the cloud. You can create your own custom AMI by taking a snapshot of your running EC2 instance, and then you can use that AMI to launch more similar instances. A root device volume for an instance is where the operating system of that instance is stored. The instance boots from that volume and also uses it to store temporary data such as application logs. So you can launch an EC2 instance either from an instance store backed AMI or an EBS backed AMI. The description of the AMI will contain the information about the root device volume. It will be either instance store backed or EBS backed. The instance store provides a temporary block level storage for your instance. And by temporary, it means that data on the instance store volume only persists as long as the instance is running. And the moment the instance is stopped, terminated, or fails, the data on these volumes is lost and cannot be recovered. And the reason instance store is temporary is because it is attached to the host machine and the host machine reclaims it for the use by other instances. The instance store is ideal for temporary storage of information that changes frequently, such as buffers, cache, and other temporary content. Elastic Block Storage provides block-level storage volumes for use with EC2 instances. EBS volumes are highly available and reliable storage volumes that can be attached to any running instances that is in the same availability zone. Instances that use EBS as the root divide automatically have an EBS volume attached to it. EBS does not live on the instance. They are attached to the instance via a network. When you launch an EBS-backed instance, an EBS volume is created and attached to your EC2 instance. When the machine is stopped or fails, the EBS volume and the data does not get deleted. The EBS volume gets deleted only when you terminate the EC2 instance and the Delete EBS on Termination option is selected while you launch your EC2 instance. It is highly recommended that you use EBS-backed AMIs for your new instances. Amazon EC2 provides different purchasing options to enable you to optimize your cost based on your needs. There are many different purchasing options, but today we will discuss the three main ones: on-demand instances, reserved instances, and spot instances. The on-demand is the most basic purchasing option. You pay for what you use, and there is a fixed price. You receive no discounts, and there are no commitments involved. The on-demand price may differ based on the region in which the instance is launched. Reserved instances provide you with a significant discount compared to on-demand instance pricing. When you buy a reserved instance, you either pay full upfront, partial upfront, or no upfront fees. Your discount may vary based on how you pay for the reserved instance. You pay the discounted hourly rate regardless if you use or you do not use your reserved instance. The reserved instances are not physical instances, but rather a billing discount applied to your use of on-demand instances in your account. The spot instances are unused EC2 capacity that is available for less than on-demand price. Because spot instances enable you to request unused EC2 instances at steep discounts, you can lower your EC2 costs significantly. The hourly price of the spot instance is called spot price. The spot price of each instance type is set by Amazon EC2. The price can be different in different AZ and adjusted gradually based on the long-term supply and demand of the spot instances. Your spot instances will be launched whenever the capacity is available and the maximum price per hour of your request exceeds the spot price. You can launch an EC2 instance in a placement group. Placement group determines how the instances are placed on the underlying hardware. When you create a placement group, you specify one of the following strategies: cluster, partition, or spread. The cluster placement group launches all the instances in the same availability zone. The instance in the cluster placement group can talk to all the other nodes within the placement group at the rate of 10 Gbps flows. Cluster placement groups are recommended for applications that need low latency or high network throughput, or both, and if the majority of the traffic is between those instances in the group. It is recommended that you launch all the instances of cluster placement group in a single launch request, and all the instance type be the same type. If you try to add more instances to the placement group later, or if you try to launch more than one instance type in the placement group, you can get an insufficient capacity error. If you get an insufficient capacity error, you can stop and start all the instances in the placement group and try to launch again. Restarting the instances may migrate them to the hardware that has the capacity of all the requested instances. A partition placement group is a group of instances spread across partitions. Partitions are logical groupings of instances where the instances do not share the same underlying hardware. Partition placement groups can be used to spread deployment of large distributed and replicated workloads such as HDFS or HBase across distinct hardware to reduce the likelihood of correlated failures. A partition placement group can have a maximum of 7 partitions per availability zone. If you start or launch an instance in a partition placement group and there is insufficient unique hardware to fulfill the request fails. Amazon EC2 makes more distinct hardware available over time, so you can try your request again later. Partition placement groups are currently only available through the API or AWS command line interface. A spread placement group is a group of instances that are each placed on a distinct underlying hardware. Spread placement groups are recommended for applications that have a small number of critical instances that should be kept separate from each other. You should use spread placement group to reduce the risk of simultaneous failure of the underlying hardware. Spread placement groups provide access to distinct hardware and are therefore suitable for mixing different instance types. A spread placement group can span multiple AZs, and you can have a maximum of 7 running instances per availability zone per group. If you start or launch an instance in a spread placement group and there is insufficient unique hardware to fulfill the request fails. Amazon EC2 makes more distinct hardware available over time, so you can try your request again later. That's it for this video. In this video, you learned the basics of AWS EC2. In the next video, you will learn how to create a new EC2 instance. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.